The fragment came first, a memory sharp as broken glass cutting through the fog of half-sleep. Hands, covered in blood that was not her own. The arterial spray had been warm against her cheek, copper thick on her tongue when she gasped. Someone screaming. Not her. She had learned long ago that screaming brought attention, and attention brought death. Then fire. Orange and hungry crawling up silk curtains in the back room of the Pearl Dragon. The smell of burning joss paper mixing with something worse, something human. Running. Always running. Down the narrow staircase of the Chinatown boarding house, her shoes in her hands, because silence mattered more than dignity. The wet cobblestones of Sacramento Street at 3 a.m, slick with things she did not want to name. Min opened her eyes. The memory dissolved, but the fear remained a cold fist wrapped around her spine. She stood in the narrow shadow between two buildings on the eastern edge of Virginia City, Nevada, and told herself she was safe. Told herself the lie again and again. September heat shimmered off the packed dirt of the main street. The town sprawled before her like a drunk leaning against a bar, all weathered wood and exhausted ambition. Silver had built this place. Silver had nearly killed it. What remained was a skeleton crew of stubborn souls, too broke or too foolish to leave. Min was neither. She was here for different reasons. She wore dark clothes, not the crisp blue prairie dress of a mail-order bride arriving to meet her frontier husband. Number. She wore the shapeless brown cotton of a laundress, the gray wool skirt of a woman who cleaned floors. Her hair, black as wet ink, was pulled so tight against her skull that her temples ached. A faded kerchief covered most of it. She wanted to be forgettable, a smudge, a shadow. The letter was in her pocket. She had memorized every word 3 weeks ago, but still touched it compulsively, feeling for the fold, the slight tear at the top where she had opened it too quickly back in San Francisco. Mr. Samuel Cole, Silver Creek Ranch, Nevada Territory. The marriage broker had been an Irishman with kind eyes and a drinking problem. He had looked at her papers, such as they were, and asked no questions about why a 22-year-old Chinese woman with educated English and a falsified name needed to disappear into the desert. "He is a quiet man," the broker had said, pouring whiskey into his morning coffee. "A rancher, struggling. I will not lie to you, miss. The land out there is hard. He needs a wife who can work, who will not complain." She had nodded. Work she could do. Complaining was a luxury she had surrendered the night she watched her father die. But standing here now, pressed against sun-warmed wood that smelled of creosote and dust, she felt the first thread of doubt pull tight in her chest. This was not how brides arrived. Brides stood in the open. Brides smiled nervously and clutched their travel trunks and hoped their new husbands would be kind. Min clutched a canvas bag that held 2 changes of clothes, a wooden comb, and the small folding knife she had stolen from a dead man's pocket. She did not hope for kindness. She hoped for invisibility. A freight wagon rumbled past, wheels grinding against stone. 2 miners argued outside the assay office, their voices carrying sharp and mean across the distance. A dog nosed through a garbage behind the general store. Normal. Everything was normal. Then she saw him. The man came down the street not on a fine horse, but driving a weathered buckboard wagon pulled by a single mule that looked as tired as the town itself. He was alone. Min's breath caught. She had expected someone older. The broker had implied age weariness, a man worn down by failure. But this man sat straight despite the sag of the wagon seat. His shoulders were broad beneath a dust-colored vest. His hat was pulled low-brim, shading his face, but even from this distance she could see the line of his jaw. Strong. Set. He guided the mule to a halt in front of the small post office 3 buildings down from where she hid. He moved with a deliberate economy, no wasted motion. When he stepped down from the wagon, his boots hit the dirt with a soft thud that she felt more than heard. Something was wrong. She could not name it yet, but her body knew. The same instinct that had saved her in San Francisco whispered danger now. The man tied the mule loosely and glanced up and down the street, his head turned in her direction. Min pressed herself flatter against the wall, heart suddenly loud in her ears. He did not see her. He was not looking for her. He was looking for threats. the way a soldier looks, the way a man who has killed looks. He turned and walked into the post office, and Min finally saw his face. The scar stopped her cold. It ran from his right temple down to his jaw, a pale rope of tissue that pulled the corner of his mouth into a permanent, almost frown. The kind of scar you got from a blade held by someone who wanted you to remember. This was Samuel Cole. This was the struggling rancher who needed a wife. This was the man she had tied her survival to. Min closed her eyes and made herself breathe. Fear was information. She had learned that too. Fear told you when to run. But running now meant going back to San Francisco, and San Francisco meant a bullet in an alley or a slow death in the bay with stones in her pockets. She had come too far. She opened her eyes and watched the post office door. Minutes passed. The sun crawled higher, pressing heat into her scalp. Sweat trickled between her shoulder blades. She did not move. When the door finally opened again, the man emerged, holding a small bundle of letters. He paused on the wooden step, his back to her, and spoke to someone still inside. Min's ears strained against the distance. She caught fragments. A voice from inside, older male. She arrived then, Cole, the man with the scar. She is here, safe. She suspect anything? Not yet. Pause. Long. The air seemed to thicken. That face of yours makes it hard to hide things. The man Cole touched the scar almost unconsciously. I know. Min's stomach dropped into her feet. They were talking about her. They knew she was here before she had even shown herself. They were expecting her. But how? Why? Cole descended the steps and returned to the wagon. He placed the letters in a wooden box behind the seat, then stood for a moment, his hand resting on the mule's flank. He looked tired, not physically. Tired in a way that lived deeper. Min made a decision. She stepped out of the shadows. She did not walk directly toward him. She walked as if she had business crossing the street at an angle that would bring her near the mercantile, near enough to be seen, but not so forward as to seem desperate. She felt his eyes on her before she looked. When she turned her head, their gazes met. He froze. For 3 heartbeats, neither moved. The street sounds faded into a dull roar. All that existed was the space between them and the weight of mutual assessment. Then he removed his hat. His hair was the color of wheat, left too long in the sun, flattened by sweat and the hat's brim. His eyes were gray, storm gray, the kind of gray that held weather. He did not smile. He did not frown. He simply looked at her with an expression she could not read. Recognition, maybe. But recognition of what Min lowered her gaze first, the reflex of a woman who had learned submission as camouflage. But she watched him from beneath her lashes, tracking his approach. He walked slowly, giving her space to bolt if she needed it. When he stopped, he kept 6 feet between them. Miss Min? His voice was rough, underused, like a door with rusted hinges. It was a quiet voice, low and rumbling, almost lost under the noise of a passing cart. She inclined her head a small bow. Mr. Cole? He looked down at his boots, then at the wagon, then back at her. His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed. I apologize for the heat, for making you wait. The apology came first, automatic, as if he expected to disappoint. Min studied him. The scar pulled his face into a symmetry, but did not make him ugly. It made him readable. Every emotion that crossed his features dragged against that rope of tissue, exaggerating, revealing. Right now she saw nervousness, shame perhaps, not cruelty. I did not wait long, she lied, her English careful and clear. She had practiced. It is good to meet you, Mr. Cole. He fumbled with the brim of his hat, fingers rough and calloused, stained with something that might have been ink or dirt. Just Cole, or Samuel, if you prefer. Samuel or Cole. He offered both names as if they were interchangeable, as if he himself was not sure which one he was. Cole, she said, testing it. He nodded, something like relief crossing his face. I have the wagon. He gestured behind him. I know it is not proper. I had hoped to bring something better, but this is what I have. Min looked at the buckboard. Old. Functional. No pretense. It is enough, she said. He looked at her for a long moment, really looked, as if trying to see past the kerchief and the shapeless dress to the person underneath. Do you have a trunk, belongings? She held up the canvas bag. This. His eyes widened slightly. Surprise. Then something else. Sadness, maybe. That is all? Yes, he did not press. He simply nodded and turned toward the wagon. We should go. It is a long ride. I want to reach shelter before dark. Shelter, not home. The word choice registered. Min followed him to the wagon. He offered his hand to help her up. She hesitated, then took it. His palm was warm and rough, the grip firm but not crushing. He steadied her as she climbed onto the seat, then released her immediately, stepping back as if her touch burned. He retrieved a canteen from the wagon bed and handed it to her without meeting her eyes. Water. Drink what you need. Then he circled to the driver's side, pulled himself up with practiced ease, and took the reins. The mule started forward with a resigned grunt. They left Virginia City, heading east into a landscape that seemed determined to erase all evidence of human ambition. The town fell away, quickly, swallowed by distance and dust. The road, such as it was, became a suggestion worn into the earth by wheels and hooves and the stubborn refusal of settlers to admit defeat. They did not speak. Min held the canteen in her lap and watched the world expand into something vast and indifferent. Hills rose in the distance, their slopes painted in shades of rust and amber. Sagebrush clung to life in defiant gray-green clumps. The sky stretched overhead, a blue so deep it hurt to look at directly. She had seen the Pacific Ocean from the deck of the steamship that brought her to San Francisco. That had been vast. But the ocean had edges. You could see where water met sky. This land had no edges. She felt small, a speck of dust that could blow away and leave no mark. Beside her, Cole drove with the quiet competence of a man who had made this journey many times. He did not fidget, did not make small talk. His hands on the reins were steady, but his eyes moved constantly, scanning the horizon, checking the shadows where rocks created pockets of shade. Looking behind them, always looking behind them, Min noticed. She said nothing. An hour passed, then two. The heat intensified, pressing down like a physical weight. Min drank sparingly from the canteen. Cole did not drink at all. Finally, as the sun tilted past its apex, he spoke. There is a creek ahead. We will stop. Let the mule rest. She nodded. 20 minutes later, they reached it. The creek was little more than a silver thread cutting through red rock, but the sound of running water was a mercy. Cottonwood trees clustered along the banks, their leaves whispering secrets to the wind. Cole guided the wagon into the shade and set the brake. He climbed down and immediately went to the mule, loosening the harness, checking the animal's legs and hooves with gentle, thorough attention. Min descended on her own legs, stiff from sitting. She walked to the water's edge and knelt, cupping the cold liquid in her palms and bringing it to her face. The shock of it cleared her head. When she looked up, Cole was watching her. He looked away quickly, busying himself with a canvas bag tied behind the seat. I brought food, he said. Not much. Bread. Some dried meat. He spread a cloth on the ground near the water and set out the provisions. A small loaf of brown bread, hard and dense. Strips of jerky. A wedge of yellow cheese wrapped in wax paper. He sat cross-legged on the far side of the cloth and gestured for her to join him. Min sat keeping the food between them. Cole pulled a folding knife from his pocket. The handle was bone-smooth and pale, the blade sharp enough to catch the light. He sliced the cheese thin, offering her the first piece on the blade's tip. She took it carefully, avoiding the edge. Thank you. He nodded and cut a piece for himself. They ate in silence. The bread was tough, but edible. The cheese was good, sharp, and rich. Better than she expected. She studied the knife when he set it down to tear the bread. It was well made, expensive, a strange possession for a poor rancher, but she said nothing. After a while, Cole cleared his throat. The place we are going, it is remote, quiet. He spoke carefully, choosing words like he was picking his way across unstable ground. I know that might be difficult. If you are used to a city. Min looked at him. I do not need noise. He met her eyes. Good. Silence settled again, but it felt different now, less tense, more like two people existing in the same space without demanding anything from each other. Then Cole said something that made her pulse skip. You do not have to be afraid of me. Min went still. He was looking at the creek now, not at her. I know how this looks. A stranger. A scar, a place far from anywhere. He touched his face briefly. I know what people think when they see this. What do they think? Min asked quietly. That I am dangerous. He turned to look at her, his gray eyes steady. Maybe I am, but not to you. The words should have comforted her. Instead, they raised new questions. Why would he think she was afraid she had been careful to show nothing? Unless he knew she had reason to be afraid. Unless he knew more about her than he should. Min set down the bread. Why did you send for a wife? Cole considered the question. I have land, work, no one to share it with. He paused. A man gets tired of silence, even when he prefers it to noise. You could have found someone closer. Virginia City has women. Virginia City has women who know me. He looked at his hands. I wanted someone who did not. It was honest. Painfully so. Min felt something shift in her chest. Not trust, not yet, but recognition. I also wanted distance, she said. He looked up, surprise flickering across his scarred face. From what? He asked. She met his gaze. From people who know me. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other. Two people who had come to the edge of the world, carrying things they could not name. Cole nodded slowly. Then maybe we will do well enough together. He stood brushing crumbs from his trousers and began packing the remaining food. They returned to the wagon and continued east. The land changed as they climbed. The red rock gave way to darker soil. Scrub oak appeared then, pine. The air cooled slightly, carrying the scent of resin and sun-warmed stone. Cole's posture changed too. He sat straighter. His jaw tightened. Min watched him from the corner of her eye. How much further? She asked. Another hour, maybe less. His voice had an edge now, not anger, tension. The road narrowed, winding between boulders and sparse trees. Shadows lengthened as the sun dipped toward the western horizon, painting everything in shades of amber and violet. Then they crested a small rise, and Cole pulled the mule to a stop. Min looked where he was looking. Below them, nestled in a shallow depression between two hills, stood a structure. Calling it a cabin would be generous. It was a shack. 4 walls of rough-hewn logs, a roof that sagged in the middle, a single window with no glass, just a piece of oiled cloth tacked across the opening. A lean-to on one side served as a shelter for animals, though it currently stood empty. Smoke did not rise from the chimney. No light showed in the window. It looked abandoned, forgotten. Min felt her stomach tighten. This was it. This was the ranch. This was the life. She had prepared herself for poverty. She had told herself she could endure anything, but seeing it solid and real in the failing light made the reality sharp. Beside her, Cole sat motionless, staring at the shack as if it were a grave. This is the line shack, he said finally. I use it when I am working this side of the range. Line shack. Temporary shelter. Not the main house. Relief flickered small and guilty. Where is the house? She asked. Cole's hands tightened on the reins. Further, over the ridge. He did not look at her. But we will stay here tonight. It is too dark to go further. It was not too dark. The sun had not set. They had at least an hour of light. He was lying. Min said nothing. Cole drove the wagon down the slope and pulled up in front of the shack. He set the brake and climbed down, moving quickly now as if eager to occupy himself with tasks. He unhitched the mule and led it to the lean-to, securing it with a rope tied to a post. Then he retrieved her canvas bag and a larger satchel from the wagon bed. I will get a fire started, he said. Make it warm. Min stepped down from the wagon and approached the door. It was not locked. She pushed it open. The smell hit her first. Dust. Mouse droppings. The ghost of old smoke. The interior was dim, illuminated only by the fading daylight filtering through the cloth-covered window. A cast-iron stove sat in one corner, cold and gray with ash. A rough table with 2 mismatched chairs occupied the center. In the back, a rope bed frame held a mattress that looked like it was stuffed with straw and regret. The floor was dirt, hard-packed, uneven, but clean. Someone had swept recently. Min turned slowly, taking it all in. She heard Cole enter behind her, his footsteps heavy on the threshold. "It is not much," he said. She looked at him. His face was unreadable in the shadows, but his shoulders were rigid, braced for rejection. "It has a roof," she said. He blinked. "Yes." "And a stove." "Yes." "Then it is enough." He stared at her. "You mean that?" It was not a question. It was an observation, as if he could not quite believe what he was hearing. Min set her bag down near the bed. "I did not come here expecting luxury, Cole." Something in his expression cracked, not broke, just cracked, enough to let something through. "Most women would have gotten back on that wagon. I am not most women." He held her gaze for 3 heartbeats. Then he nodded, turned, and went to the stove. They worked in silence as the light died outside. Cole built a fire with practiced efficiency, coaxing flame from kindling and feeding it until the stove radiated heat. Min found a broom little more than bundled twigs tied to a stick and swept the floor again, smoothing the dirt into patterns. Cole fetched water from a spring he said was 50 yards north, returning with a bucket that sloshed cold and clear. He set a pot to boil and added beans from a jar, along with a chunk of salt pork that he cut into small pieces. The smell of cooking filled the small space. It was simple, poor, but it was warm. They ate sitting across from each other at the table. The beans were undercooked, the broth thin. Min ate slowly, making it last. Cole watched her over the rim of his tin cup. "You do not complain," he said. "Would it help?" A smile ghosted across his mouth, brief, gone as quickly as it came, but real. "No." They finished eating. Cole washed the dishes in the bucket while Min folded the cloth they had used as a tablecloth. Domestic, ordinary, strange. Night pressed against the cloth window. The fire crackled. Outside, the mule made soft sounds in the lean-to. Cole gestured to the bed. "You take it. I will sleep on the floor." Min looked at him. "You do not have to." "I do." There was no room for argument in his tone. Min nodded and went to the bed. It was narrow. The mattress rustled when she sat. She removed her boots, but kept her dress on, lying down on top of the thin blanket. Cole extinguished the lantern, leaving only the faint glow from the stove's vents. She heard him settle near the door, his back against the wall. Minutes passed. Min closed her eyes but did not sleep. Her mind spun. The conversation at the post office. The knife. The way Cole moved. The lies. She heard him shift, then go still. Too still. She opened her eyes and turned her head slightly. In the dim red glow she could see his silhouette, sitting, awake. His head turned toward the window, watching, guarding. Her heart began to beat faster. An hour passed, maybe 2. Min drifted in and out of shallow sleep, her body exhausted but her mind refusing to surrender. Then she heard it, a sound outside, faint, the crunch of a boot on gravel. She went rigid. Cole was already moving. Silently. He had a gun in his hand. She had not seen him draw it, had not known he carried one. He moved to the window and peered through a gap in the cloth. Min sat up slowly, her breath shallow. "What is it?" she whispered. "Stay quiet." His voice was different now, hard, cold, the voice of someone who had killed before and would do it again if necessary. The sound came again, closer, then a voice, low, male. "McKenna." "You in there?" Cole did not answer. The voice tried again. "I know you are Cole, saw the smoke." Still no answer. Min's fingers found the small knife in her bag. She held it, the blade folded, her palm sweating. "Just want to talk, no trouble." Cole's jaw worked. Then he called out, his voice flat. "What do you want, Harris? Boss wants to know if you are staying or just passing through." "Passing through." Pause. "You alone?" "Yes, liar." Min's breath stopped. "All right then. Safe travels." Footsteps retreated, fading, gone. Cole remained at the window for another 5 minutes, motionless. Finally he lowered the gun and turned. His eyes found Min in the darkness. "You should sleep," he said. "Who was that?" "No one." "You are lying." He flinched, as if the accusation was a physical blow. "Yes," he admitted. "I am lying." Min stood, her legs unsteady. "Who are you?" Cole looked at her, really looked. And she saw it then, the war happening behind his eyes. The choice between more lies and a truth that might break everything. He made his decision. He walked to his satchel, knelt, and pulled out a folded piece of newspaper. Old, worn from handling. He brought it to her and held it out. Min took it, her hands shaking. She unfolded it near the stove's glow. San Francisco Chronicle, June 1883. The headline hit her like a fist. Chinatown Massacre, sole witness vanishes. Below it a sketch, rough, imprecise, but recognizable. A woman's face. Chinese, young. Her face. Min's vision tunneled. The paper fell from her fingers. Cole caught it before it hit the ground. "Sit down," he said. Not unkind, just factual. She sat, or collapsed. She was not sure which. He knelt in front of her, the paper between them. "My name is not Samuel," he said quietly. "It is Cole McKenna. I was hired to protect you, to keep you hidden until it is safe." Min's mouth was dry. "Hired by who? Someone who wants you alive." "The Tong wants me dead." "I know." She looked at him, at the scar, at the gun still in his hand, at the truth that had been there all along if she had let herself see it. "Why should I trust you?" Her voice shook despite her effort to steady it. Cole set the gun down on the floor between them, within her reach. "Because if I wanted you dead, you would be." It was brutal, honest, and somehow it was the only thing he could have said that made sense. Min stared at the gun, at him, at the shack that was not a home but a hiding place. "How long?" she asked. "How long what? How long do I have to hide?" Cole's expression darkened. "I do not know," she laughed. It came out sharp and bitter. "You do not know. No. So I am a prisoner. You are alive." The words hung between them. Min picked up the newspaper with trembling hands and read it properly this time. The details, the bodies, the description of the woman who fled, the reward for information. $500. She was worth $500 dead. She looked at Cole. "And you, what are you worth?" He went very still. "What do you mean?" "That man. Harris. He knew you. He asked if you were staying, as if there are people who want to know where you are." Cole's jaw tightened. "Answer me," Min demanded. "Am I not the only one hiding?" For a long moment he said nothing. Then he stood, walked to the window, and looked out into the night. "No," he said finally. "You are not." Min waited. Cole turned back to her. In the red glow of the stove, his scar looked like a wound reopened. "5 years ago, I had a family, a wife, a daughter. Had. The past tense said everything. There was a gang, outlaws. I was working for the Pinkertons. I tracked them, I found them, I killed 4 of them." His voice was flat, reciting facts. "The 5th one got away, and he decided that killing me was not enough. He wanted me to suffer first." Min's chest tightened. "He burned my house with them inside." The room seemed to shrink, the air too thick to breathe. "I have been looking for him ever since," Cole continued, "and he has been looking for me. That man Harris he works for, people who know people. Word travels. If I stay in one place too long, he will find me." "So you keep moving." "Yes." Min stood slowly. "And you brought me here, to a place where your enemy might come." Cole turned to face her fully. "I brought you to the one place I thought I could protect you, where I have weapons, supplies, where I know the land. You used me as bait." "No." His voice hardened. "I am using myself as bait. You are collateral I am trying to keep alive." The honesty of it was almost worse than a lie. Min crossed to her bag and pulled out her small folding knife. She opened it. The blade was short but sharp. Cole watched her. He did not reach for his gun. "If you want to leave," he said quietly, "I will take you back at first light. I will give you money. You can go somewhere else. Disappear." "Where?" Min asked. "San Francisco will kill me. Virginia City is too small. Where do I go that they will not find me?" Cole had no answer. Min closed the knife and put it back in her bag. "I will stay," she said. Cole blinked. "Why?" She looked at him, at the scar, at the pain carved into every line of his face. "Because you are right," she said. "If you wanted me dead, I would be. And because I am tired of running alone." Something in Cole's expression shifted. Not relief, not exactly, but recognition. "Tomorrow," he said, "we leave this place. I am taking you somewhere safer. Where you will see." He retrieved his gun and returned to his post by the door. Min lay back down on the bed. She did not sleep. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the cloth in the window. The fire burned low. And in the darkness, two people who had lost everything sat awake, keeping watch over ghosts. The protector and the witness. Dawn came gray and cold, leaking through the cloth window like dirty water. Min woke to the smell of coffee, bitter and strong, cutting through the staleness of the shack. Cole stood at the stove, his back to her, pouring the dark liquid into 2 tin cups. He had not slept. She knew this without asking. The rigid set of his shoulders, the careful precision of his movements, these were the markers of a man who had spent the night standing watch. She sat up slowly, the straw mattress crackling beneath her. Her body ached in unfamiliar places. Fear had a weight. It settled in the muscles and refused to leave. Cole turned, holding out a cup. "It is strong. I did not have sugar." Min took it. The metal was hot against her palms. She sipped and tasted burnt grounds and something that might have been chicory. It was terrible. She drank it anyway. They stood in silence, drinking bad coffee while the world outside slowly brightened. The mule made soft sounds in the lean-to. A bird called high and lonely. Finally, Cole spoke. "I need to tell you about the man who hired me. His name is Harlan Harrington. He is a federal judge in San Francisco." Min's cup stopped halfway to her mouth. "A judge hired you to hide me?" "Yes." "Why?" Cole set his cup down on the table. "Because you saw something that can destroy powerful men, and Judge Harrington is one of the few who wants them destroyed." The memory came unbidden. The back room of the Pearl Dragon. Smoke thick with opium and incense. She had been there to translate a contract, nothing more. Her employer, a white lawyer with soft hands and expensive suits, had told her it was a simple business arrangement. But the men who arrived were not businessmen. They were Tong, highborn, dangerous, and the contract was not for silk or tea, it was for opium. Thousands of pounds, smuggled through the port with the help of corrupt customs officials. She had translated every word, had written it down in her careful script, had handed the document to the lawyer. Then the shooting started. "My father," Min said, the words coming slowly, pulled from a deep place she had tried to seal shut. "Chen Wei, he was Tong." Cole did not look surprised. "I know." "You know. Judge Harrington told me. He said your father was trying to stop the corruption, that he was working with the law, that he died for it." Min set her cup down before she dropped it. Her hands were shaking. "My father was a fool," she said, her voice hard. "He believed honor still mattered. He believed the Americans would protect him if he helped them. They tried. They failed." She looked at Cole. "And now you are here, protecting me, because I am evidence, because I can name the men who murdered him." Cole nodded. "Can you?" Min closed her eyes. "Yes." She saw it again. The flash of the blade, her father falling, and the man who held the knife, Uncle Liang, her father's younger brother, the man who had taught her to write, who had given her sweets as a child, who had smiled as he drove steel into his own brother's heart. "There was a name," she said, "in the contract, an American name, high up, protected. Who? I do not know. The lawyer used a code, but my father knew. He told me before he died. He said to find Harrington, to tell him everything." Cole crossed his arms. "And did you?" "I wrote a letter. Before I left San Francisco. I sent it to the address my father gave me. I do not know if it arrived." "It did." Min opened her eyes. Cole continued. "That is why Harrington sent me, to keep you alive until he can bring charges, until he can break the Tong's hold on the city." "How long will that take?" He said 6 months, maybe less. 6 months, half a year of hiding, of looking over her shoulder, of trusting a scarred stranger with her life. Min laughed. It came out broken. "What happens if they find me first?" Cole's gray eyes held hers. "They will not. You cannot promise that." "No, but I can promise that if they come, they will have to go through me." The certainty in his voice should have been comforting. Instead, it reminded her that he had already lost everyone he tried to protect. She did not say this. Cruelty served no purpose. Instead, she asked, "What do we do now?" Cole walked to the door and looked out at the morning. "We stay here today. Tonight we move." "Why wait?" Because I need to know if Harris told anyone he saw smoke. If riders come today, we will see them. If no one comes, we move after dark." Min nodded. It made sense, cold sense, tactical sense. The sense of a man who had hunted and been hunted. They spent the day in careful preparation. Cole checked his weapons, cleaning a rifle and 2 revolvers with methodical attention. Min watched him work, noting the way his hands moved with practiced efficiency. Soldier hands, killer hands. When he finished, he taught her to load the smaller revolver. "Cylinder opens here. 6 rounds. You pull the hammer back like this." He demonstrated the click sharp in the quiet room. "Do not aim for the chest. Aim for the center of the body. Biggest target." Min held the gun. It was heavier than she expected, the metal cold and final. "Have you killed someone?" Cole asked. The question was direct, not accusatory, just gathering information. "No." "Could you?" Min thought about her father's blood on the floor, about Uncle Yang's smile. "Yes," Cole nodded. "Good. I hope you do not have to. But if you do, do not hesitate. Hesitation gets you killed." He made her practice the motion. Cylinder open, rounds in, and cylinder closed. Hammer back, again, until her fingers remembered. Midday arrived with heat that pressed against the thin walls. They ate dried meat and hard bread. The food had no taste. Min chewed mechanically fuel for a body that might need to run. Cole sat across from her, not eating, just watching the door, the window, the angles of light that shifted across the floor. "Tell me about your family," Min said suddenly. He looked at her, surprise flickering across his scarred face. "Why, because if I am going to trust you with my life, I should know what you are willing to die for." Cole leaned back in his chair. For a long moment, she thought he would refuse. Then he began to speak. "Her name was Emma, my wife. We met in Missouri before the war. She was a school teacher. I was a fool kid who thought joining the cavalry would make me a man." His voice was flat, reciting facts. But Min heard the current beneath, the grief running deep and cold. "When I came back, I was not the same. The things I had seen, done. She married me anyway. Said she saw something worth saving." Min watched his hands. They were clenched on his knees, knuckles white. "We had Sarah 3 years later. She had Emma's eyes. Green, like new leaves. Had. Past tense. A door closed forever. I took work with the Pinkertons. Good money, dangerous work. Emma did not like it, but she understood. We needed to build something. I wanted to give them a house, land, safety." He laughed bitter. "I was going to keep them safe." The silence that followed was thick with things unsaid. Min waited. "The gang I was tracking, they robbed trains, killed guards. I followed them for 3 months, found their camp in the Sierras. There were 5 of them. I killed 4. His voice did not change, did not rise or fall, just continued steady and dead. "The 5th, Jesse Rourke, he ran. I thought I had won. I went home." Cole stood abruptly, walking to the window. He stared out at nothing. 3 days later, I was in town buying supplies. I saw smoke on the horizon, black smoke, the wrong direction for a brush fire. Min's chest tightened. I rode hard, but I was too late. The house was gone, just fire and ash. The neighbors said they heard screaming. They tried to get in, could not. His hand touched the scar on his face, tracing it unconsciously. I found Emma near the door. She had tried to get out. The smoke got her first. Sarah was in her room. She had hidden under the bed. Min closed her eyes. She did not want to see his face, did not want to witness the moment he relived it. Rourke left a message, carved into the barn door that did not burn. "Now you know." The words hung in the air like smoke. "I buried them. Then I went hunting." Min opened her eyes. Cole was still at the window, his back to her shoulders, rigid. "I found 3 more of Rourke's men over the next year. I killed them, slowly. But Rourke himself disappeared. I heard he went to Nevada, then California, then nothing." He turned to face her. "Until 6 months ago, a Pinkerton friend sent word. Rourke was alive. He had a new gang. And he was in Nevada." Understanding bloomed cold in Min's stomach. "You came here to find him." "Yes." "And Judge Harrington knew this." "Yes, he said if I kept you safe, he would help me find Rourke. He has resources, contacts, things I do not have anymore." Min stood slowly. So I am not just being protected. I am bait for 2 traps. Cole did not deny it. If Rourke's men find me, they find you, she continued. And if the Tong finds me, they lead Harrington to the corruption. Yes? The honesty was brutal, but it was honest. Min walked to where Cole stood and looked up at him. He was taller than her by almost a foot. The scar made his face asymmetrical, pulling his expression into something that looked like permanent pain. You could have lied to me, she said. I could have. Why did you not? Cole held her gaze. Because Emma would have hated me for it, and I have failed her enough. Something in Min's chest cracked. Not broke, just cracked. Enough to let something through. She reached out and touched his arm, just briefly. A connection. We are both ghosts, she said quietly, haunted by people we could not save. Cole looked at her hand on his sleeve. When she pulled it back, he caught it, his palm rough and warm. Then maybe ghosts should stay together. They stood like that for 3 heartbeats. Then Cole released her and returned to watching the horizon. The day crawled toward evening. No riders came, no dust rose on the road. The world remained empty and indifferent. Cole began packing as the sun dipped low. He moved with quiet efficiency, loading supplies into saddlebags, checking straps and buckles. We are not taking the wagon, Min asked. Too slow, too visible. We ride. He led her outside where 2 horses waited, saddled and ready. Not the tired mule from yesterday. These were real horses, strong, well-fed. Where did these come from? Min asked. I keep them stabled 2 miles north. Brought them in before dawn while you slept. Always planning, always 3 moves ahead. He helped her mount, his hand steady on her waist as he lifted her into the saddle. She had ridden only once before the journey from Virginia City. Her thighs still ached from it. This would be worse. Cole swung onto his own horse, a large roan with intelligent eyes. He looked at home there, natural, as if the horse was an extension of himself. They rode out as the last light bled from the sky. The land changed around them, shadows deepening into pools of ink between the rocks. Cole set a steady pace, not fast, but unrelenting. They followed no road cutting across open country, using the stars as guidance. Min focused on staying in the saddle, on breathing, on not thinking about how far they were from anywhere. 2 hours passed. 3. The moon rose, a thin crescent that gave almost no light. Then Cole stopped. He held up a hand. Min halted her horse beside his. What is it? She whispered. Cole did not answer. He was listening, head cocked, body tense. Min heard it then, faint, the sound of hooves, multiple horses, coming from behind them. Ride, Cole said, not loud, just firm. What? Now, fast. Follow me. He spurred his horse forward. Min kicked her heels and her mount leapt after him. They ran through the darkness, the horses sure-footed on ground Min could barely see. Wind tore at her hair. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Behind them, the sound of pursuit grew louder. Cole led them into a narrow canyon, rock walls rising on either side. The path twisted. They rounded a corner, and he pulled up hard. Off, now! Min dismounted, her legs nearly buckling. Cole grabbed both sets of reins and slapped the horses hard on the flanks. They bolted forward, disappearing around another bend. Cole grabbed Min's hand and pulled her toward the canyon wall. There was a crack in the rock, narrow and dark, a crevice barely wide enough for a person. In. She squeezed through. He followed, pressing close behind her. The space was tight. She could feel his breath on her neck, feel the heat of his body. They waited. The pursuing riders thundered into the canyon. 3 of them, maybe 4. Min could not see, but she could hear. Hooves striking stone, men shouting. They went through here, split up, check both paths. The voices were rough, hard, men who were comfortable with violence. One rider passed within 10 feet of their hiding place. Min held her breath. Cole's hand found hers in the darkness, squeezing once. Stay still. The riders moved on, following the riderless horses deeper into the canyon. Minutes passed. The sound faded. Cole waited another 10 minutes before he moved. He eased out of the crevice, gun drawn, checking both directions. Clear. Min emerged, her whole body shaking. Not from cold, from adrenaline crashing through her system. Who were they, she asked. Rourke's men, or someone working for the Tong, does not matter. They are hunting. How did they find us? Harris. Cole's jaw tightened. He told someone, or someone saw the smoke and connected it to me. He holstered his gun and started walking, keeping to the shadows along the canyon wall. Min followed her legs unsteady. They walked for an hour, moving away from the canyon, cutting through scrubland and over low hills. Cole navigated by starlight and instinct, never hesitating. Finally, as false dawn began to gray the eastern sky, they crested a ridge. Cole stopped. Min came up beside him and looked down. Her breath caught. Below them lay a valley. Green. Impossibly green in this dry country. A river cut through the center silver in the pre-dawn light. And there, sitting alone in the middle of that emerald basin, was a house. Not a shack, not a cabin, a house, 2 stories, white-painted wood and stone. A wraparound porch, 3 chimneys rising like sentinels against the lightening sky. Around it, structures, a large barn, red paint faded, but still visible. Corrals, a bunkhouse, the bones of what had once been a working ranch. But everything was still. No smoke from the chimneys, no lights in the windows, no movement. It looked abandoned. It looked haunted. Min turned to Cole. His face was unreadable in the half-light, but she saw the tension in every line of his body. "What is this place?" she asked. Cole did not answer immediately. He stood staring at the house like a man looking at his own grave. "This," he said finally, his voice rough, "is Silver Creek Ranch." Min waited. "This was my home. I built it for Emma, for Sarah. Every board, every stone." Was. Past tense. Min looked at the beautiful ghost house and understood. This is where they died. Yes. "And you brought me here." Cole turned to look at her. His gray eyes were haunted, hollow. "I swore I would never come back. After I buried them, I locked the door and walked away. I have not been here in 5 years. Why now?" Cole's hand moved to the gun at his hip, not drawing it, just touching it. A talisman. "Because Rourke will come here. He knows I will return eventually. He will be watching, waiting." Understanding crashed through Min like cold water. "You are not just protecting me," she said. "You are using me as bait to draw him out." Cole did not deny it. But he added, "And when he comes, I will be ready. This time I know the ground. I have supplies, weapons, advantage." Min looked at the ranch again, at the beautiful empty house that held so much death. "You brought me to a battlefield." "Yes." She should have been angry, should have felt betrayed, but standing there looking at the pain carved into Cole's face, she felt something else. Recognition. "My father died in a place like this," she said quietly. "A place that should have been safe, where family gathered, where there should have been joy." Cole looked at her. "The Pearl Dragon was a restaurant," she continued. "My father used to take me there when I was small. We would eat soup dumplings, and he would tell me stories about his childhood in Guangdong." She swallowed against the tightness in her throat. "When he died there, the place became a tomb. I can never go back, never eat soup dumplings without tasting blood." Cole said nothing, but his hand found hers again. This time he did not let go. They stood on the ridge. As the sun rose, 2 people holding on to each other because there was no one else left. "If we go down there," Min said, "we are choosing to fight." "Yes." "We could run instead. Keep running." "We could." Min looked at their joined hands, at the scars on his knuckles, and at her own fingers still stained with ink from the work she used to do. "I am tired of running," she said. Cole squeezed her hand. "So am I." They descended into the valley as the sun cleared the mountains, painting the grass gold. The house grew larger as they approached, revealing details: broken windows, vines crawling up the porch posts, the char marks on the west wing where fire had tried to consume everything. Cole led her to the front door. It was locked. He produced a key from his pocket, tarnished and stiff. The lock resisted, then yielded. The door swung open with a sound like a sigh. Inside, dust covered everything. Furniture sat exactly as it had been left. A table set for a meal, never eaten. Toys scattered on the floor, a woman's shawl draped over a chair. Min felt like she was walking into a shrine. Cole stood in the doorway, not entering. His breathing had gone shallow. "I cannot," he said. Min understood. She turned and took his hand. "Then we do it together." She stepped inside first, pulling him gently after her. The house held its breath around them, waiting, watching. And outside, somewhere in the hills, enemies gathered like storm clouds. The war was coming. The reckoning. The house smelled of time and abandonment. Dust motes swirled in shafts of morning light that cut through broken windows like accusations. Min moved through the room slowly, her footsteps leaving prints on the floor, evidence that life had returned, however briefly, to this mausoleum. Cole stood in what had been the parlor, staring at a child's wooden horse lying on its side near the fireplace. He had not moved in 10 minutes, had not blinked. Min left him to his ghosts and began her own inventory. The kitchen still held supplies. Tinned goods lined the shelves, their labels faded but intact. Flour in a sealed barrel, salt, coffee, enough to sustain a siege if it came to that. And it would come. She felt it in her bones. The same instinct that had kept her alive in San Francisco whispered warnings now. They had stopped running. They had chosen ground. Now the hunters would close in. She found blankets in a cedar chest upstairs, smelling of lavender and mothballs. Found candles, matches, the practical remnants of a life interrupted. In the main bedroom, she found photographs. They sat on a dresser covered in dust so thick it looked like snow. Min wiped it away carefully, revealing the images beneath glass. A woman, blonde hair pinned up, kind eyes, wearing a simple dress and a smile that spoke of hard-won contentment. Emma. Beside her, a child, maybe 5 years old, wild curls and gap-toothed grin, green eyes, just as Cole had said, like new leaves, Sarah. And between them a younger version of Cole, no scar, no haunted expression, just a man with his arms around his family, looking at the camera as if daring the world to take this from him. The world had accepted the dare. Min set the photograph down gently and returned downstairs. Cole had moved. He was in the basement now. She could hear him below, the sound of metal scraping against stone. She descended the narrow stairs, each step creaking protest. The basement was cool and dark, lit only by a single lantern Cole had found and lit. The flame cast long shadows across stacked crates and forgotten tools. Cole knelt before a metal strongbox, its lid thrown back. Inside, weapons, rifles, revolvers, boxes of ammunition, and something else. Papers, documents, maps. He was spreading them out on the floor, studying them with the focused intensity of a general planning battle. Min knelt beside him. "What are these?" "Property maps, deed records. I bought this land legally, every acre." His finger traced boundary lines. "The ranch covers 12,000 acres. The valley we are in, the hills to the north and east. 3 water sources, 2 canyons that can be defended." He looked up at her. "Rourke does not know this land. I do. Every rock, every gully, every place to hide or make a stand." Min studied the maps. She saw what he saw. Choke points, high ground, natural fortifications. "You have been planning this," she said, "for 5 years. You always meant to come back." "Yes." He pulled another document from the box. Yellowed paper covered in cramped handwriting. "After Emma and Sarah died, I wrote it all down. Everything I would need, how I would prepare, how I would make him come to me." He unfolded the paper. It was a list, detailed, methodical, the work of a man who had turned grief into strategy. Min read over his shoulder. Repair west wall, check roof integrity, clear sight lines from second-story windows, stock ammunition, set traps on north approach, on and on. A blueprint for revenge. At the bottom, underlined 3 times a single name, Jesse Rourke. "You have been waiting for him," Min said quietly. "I have been hunting him. But he is careful, paranoid. He moves constantly, uses other names. I could never pin him down long enough to strike." Cole looked at her. "But he will come here. He knows this place haunts me. He knows I will return eventually. And when I do, he will want to finish what he started." Min sat back on her heels. "So we fortify. We wait. We let him come to us." "Yes." "And the Tongliang's men," Cole's jaw tightened. "If they come at the same time, we deal with both." The casual way he said it sent ice down Min's spine. as if fighting two enemies simultaneously was merely a logistical problem to solve. They spent the rest of the morning transforming the ghost house into a fortress. Cole moved through the tasks with mechanical precision. He boarded broken windows from the inside, leaving narrow gaps for rifle barrels. He dragged furniture to create barricades at key doorways. He checked every lock, every hinge, every potential point of entry. Min worked beside him, learning as she went. How to wedge a door so it could not be forced. How to create an escape route through a second-story window using knotted rope. How to position water and supplies in multiple locations so they would not be trapped without resources. It was grim work, purposeful. Neither spoke much. There was nothing left to say. By midday, they had done what they could. Cole stood on the second-floor landing, looking out through a gap in the boards. The valley spread before them, peaceful and green, deceptive. Min joined him, wiping sweat from her forehead. "How long do you think we have?" she asked. "Hours? Maybe a day." "How do you know?" "Because if I were hunting me, I would have already surrounded this place. I would wait until night. Then I would burn it." The casual horror of the statement made Min flinch. Cole noticed. "I will not let that happen. Not again." She looked at his profile, at the scar tissue pulling his face into permanent tension, at the hands that had killed and buried and kept moving despite everything. "Cole," she said quietly, "if this goes badly, if we do not survive, we will survive. If we do not," she insisted, "I want you to know something." He turned to face her fully. Min took a breath. "My father's killer. The man who drove the knife into his heart. His name is Liang Wu. He is my uncle, my father's younger brother." Cole's eyes widened slightly. "Your family." "Yes." The word tasted like ash. He smiled when he did it. I saw him. He looked at me while my father bled, and he smiled. Her hands clenched into fists. "If the tong comes, if you see a man in his 40s, thin with a scar on his left hand from a childhood burn, that is him. That is Liang." "And if I see him," Cole asked, "kill him. Do not hesitate. Do not give him a chance to speak. Just kill him." Cole nodded slowly. "I promise." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Min spoke again. "There is more, something I have not told you." Cole waited. "The contract I translated, the one that got my father killed, it mentioned a name, an American, someone high up, someone protected. Who? I do not know. It was coded. But my father knew. Before he died, he whispered it to me." Min's voice dropped to barely above a whisper, as if the walls themselves might be listening. "He said the name was buried in the ledger. The Tong's ledger. A book they keep with all their transactions, all their bribes, all their deals." Cole's attention sharpened. "Where is this ledger?" "San Francisco. Hidden. My father told me where, but I have never retrieved it. I was too afraid." "Does Liang know you know about it?" "I do not think so, but Judge Harrington does. I told him in my letter. That is why he wants me alive. I am not just a witness. I am the key to finding proof." Understanding dawned in Cole's eyes. "That is why Harrington is helping. He needs you to testify and to retrieve the ledger." "Yes." Cole turned back to the window. "Then we have to make sure you survive." The way he said it, "you singular knot," we made Min's chest tighten. "Cole," she started. "I know what I signed up for," he said, cutting her off gently. "I made a promise. To Harrington, to Emma, to myself. I keep my promises." Before Min could respond, Cole went rigid. "What is it?" he pointed. Far in the distance, barely visible on the northern ridge, a figure on horseback, watching. Then another appeared to the east, and a third to the west. They were surrounded. "Inside," Cole said, his voice hard. "Now." They descended to the main floor. Cole moved to the strongbox and began distributing weapons. 2 rifles, 3 revolvers, boxes of ammunition. "Can you shoot a rifle?" he asked. "You taught me the revolver. Rifle is easier at distance. Here." He handed her a Winchester, showed her how to work the lever action, how to sight down the barrel. "Stay on the second floor, east window. Anyone who approaches from that direction you shoot. Do not wait for them to get close. Do not warn them. Just shoot." Min took the rifle. It was heavier than the revolver, more final. "What about you?" "I will cover the north and west. The south has the river. They will not come from there. He looked at her, his gray eyes intense. "If they breach the house, if they get inside, you go out the second-story window. Use the rope. Run south to the river. Follow it downstream. There is a town 15 miles that direction. Find the sheriff. Tell him to wire Judge Harrington. I am not leaving you." "Yes, you are, if it comes to that." "No." Cole grabbed her shoulders. Not rough, just firm. "Min, listen to me. I have already lost everything. You are all that is left of the promise I made. If you die, it was all for nothing. Emma, Sarah, your father, all of it, for nothing." Tears burned Min's eyes. She blinked them back. "I am not your redemption, Cole." "Maybe not, but you are my last chance at it." He released her and turned away, checking the loads in his revolvers. Min wanted to argue, wanted to refuse, but she saw the set of his shoulders, the finality in his movements. He had already decided he was going to die here. She climbed the stairs to the second-floor, rifle in hand, and took her position at the east window. Outside, the valley waited, beautiful and still, the calm before slaughter. An hour passed. The watchers on the ridges did not move, did not advance, just waited. Psychological warfare, making them sweat, making them imagine. Min kept her eyes on the eastern approach, but her mind wandered. She thought about her father, about the last words he had spoken. Find Harrington. Live. She had done one, was trying desperately to do the other. She thought about her mother, dead 10 years now. Fever had taken her when Min was 12. Would she be proud of her daughter now, or ashamed that she had survived when so many others had not? She thought about Cole downstairs, a man so broken by loss that he had turned himself into a weapon. What would Emma think of what he had become? Would she understand, or would she weep for the gentleman he used to be? The sun climbed higher. Heat built in the sealed house, thick and oppressive. Then movement. A rider appeared on the eastern ridge, slowly descending, not hiding, not rushing, deliberate. Min raised the rifle, sighting down the barrel. Her heart hammered, her palms sweat. The rider came closer. She could see details now. Dark clothing, a hat pulled low, something about the way he sat the horse. Her finger found the trigger, started to squeeze. Then the rider raised one hand, empty, palm out. A gesture of parley. "Cole," Min called down. "Someone is coming, east side. He is signaling." She heard Cole's boots on the stairs. He appeared beside her, rifle ready. He looked out, went very still. "That is not one of Rourke's men." "How do you know?" "Because Rourke's men do not ride like that. They ride like outlaws. This man rides like cavalry." The rider stopped 50 yards from the house, close enough to be heard, far enough to retreat if fired upon. He called out, "Cole McKenna, I am not here to fight." The voice was aged but strong, authoritative. Cole's jaw worked. Then he moved to a different window, one with a narrow opening, and called back. "Who are you?" "My name is Harlan Harrington. I believe you know who I am." Min's breath stopped. The judge. Here. Now. Cole looked at her, then back out the window. "You are supposed to be in San Francisco." "I was, until I received word that Miss Chen was in immediate danger. I came as quickly as I could." "Alone?" "No." As if on cue, more riders appeared. 5 of them, spread out, all armed. But they held their rifles across their saddles, not aimed. And behind them, another figure, smaller, riding a gray mare, a woman, Chinese, older, perhaps 50. She wore Western clothing but sat the horse with the rigid formality of someone unused to it. Min stared. She knew that face. "Aunt May," she whispered. Cole looked at her. "Who?" "Chen May, my father's sister. I thought she was dead." Harrington called out again. "Miss Chen, your aunt is here. She has been working with me. She wants to speak with you." It could be a trap. Could be Liang forcing Aunt May to lure her out. But something in Min's chest pulled tight. A thread of hope she thought had been cut years ago. "I am going down," she said. "No," Cole said immediately. "She is my family. She could be compromised, threatened, used." "I know." Min set down the rifle. "But I have to know." She descended the stairs before Cole could stop her. She heard him curse behind her, following. Min unbarred the front door and opened it 6 inches. Aunt May had dismounted. She stood between two of Harrington's men, her hands visible empty. Their eyes met across the distance. Aunt May's face crumpled. "Xiao Min?" Little Min, the name her father used to call her. Min's throat closed. "Guma, Auntie." Aunt May took a step forward. One of Harrington's men tensed, but did not stop her. "Your father," Aunt May said in Cantonese, her voice breaking, "he sent me away before that night. He knew Liang had turned. He told me to hide, to wait, to help you if you survived." Min's hands shook on the door. "You have been alive this whole time." "Yes, working with this judge, gathering proof, names, transactions." Aunt May's eyes were wet. "But I could not find you. I thought Liang had killed you too." Behind Min, Cole stood with his rifle ready, watching the other riders. Judge Harrington dismounted slowly, moving like a man whose knees hurt. He was tall, silver-haired, with a face carved by years on the bench. "Miss Chen," he said in English, "I apologize for the dramatic arrival, but we have urgent news." "What news?" Cole called out. "Jesse Rourke is 10 miles north with 6 men. They will be here by nightfall, and Liang Wu is 8 miles west with 4 of his enforcers. They are working together." The words hit like fists. "Working together," Min repeated. "Why?" Harrington's expression was grim. "Because Rourke wants McKenna, and Liang wants you. They made a deal. Whoever kills their target first helps the other. A partnership of convenience." Cole swore. "How do you know this?" "Because I have had men watching them both for weeks, waiting for them to make their move." Harrington gestured to his deputies. "These men are federal marshals. We came to arrest them, but we are outnumbered, and they know we are here." "So what do you want from us?" Cole demanded. "I want to combine our forces, my men, your knowledge of this ground, Miss Chen's testimony. Together, we can end this." It was too neat, too convenient. Every instinct Min had screamed trap. But Aunt May stood there, tears on her face, and Min wanted so desperately for it to be real. Cole looked at Min. "Your call." She met his eyes, saw the same doubt, the same fragile hope. "Let them in," she said. "But we keep our weapons." Harrington nodded. "Agreed." The marshals dismounted and approached slowly, hands visible. Harrington helped Aunt May down from her horse, and they walked together to the house. Min stepped back, letting them enter. Cole kept his rifle ready, covering them from the side. Aunt May saw Min fully for the first time in years and made a sound between a sob and a laugh. She moved forward, arms out. Min met her halfway. The embrace was fierce, desperate. The smell of Aunt May's hair oil, unchanged after all these years, broke something in Min's chest. She wept, quietly, into her aunt's shoulder, for her father, for the lost years, for the girl she used to be. Aunt May held her, murmuring in Cantonese, "You are safe now. I am here. You are safe." Over her aunt's shoulder, Min saw Cole watching. His expression was unreadable, but his grip on the rifle had loosened slightly. Harrington surveyed the fortified house, nodding approval. "You have done well, McKenna. This is defensible." "It needs to be," Cole said flatly. "How long before they arrive?" "Sunset. Maybe sooner if they know we are here." One of the marshals, a lean man with a scarred jaw, spoke up. "We should set positions now. Cover all approaches." Cole nodded. "Second-floor windows are already prepared, northeast and west. South has the river, but we need someone watching it." They began planning, positioning. Cole moved among them with professional efficiency, his military training surfacing. He assigned fields of fire, designated fallback positions, pointed out weak points that needed reinforcement. Min watched him transform from grieving widower to tactical commander. This was who he had been before loss broke him. This was the man Emma had married. Aunt May pulled Min aside, speaking low in Cantonese. "There is something you must know. About the ledger your father mentioned." Min's attention snapped to her. "You know about it. I helped him hide it. It is not in San Francisco anymore. I moved it. I have it here." Min's eyes widened. "Here you brought it?" Aunt May nodded. "In my saddlebag. All the proof we need. Names, amounts. The American official at the center of it all." "Who is it?" Aunt May's face darkened. "A man named Richard Caldwell, Deputy Customs Director. He facilitated everything, for a percentage." The name meant nothing to Min, but she saw the weight Aunt May placed on it. With this ledger, Aunt May continued, Harrington can destroy the entire network, but Liang knows I have it. That is why he is coming. Not just for revenge, for the book. Understanding settled cold in Min's stomach. So we are bait for everyone. Yes. Min looked across the room to where Cole was pointing at a map, explaining something to the marshals. His face was animated in a way she had not seen before, alive with purpose. He had been dead inside for 5 years. Now standing on the edge of battle, he had come back to life. It was beautiful and terrible. The afternoon wore on. They reinforced. They waited. Cole found Min on the second floor as the sun began its descent. Your aunt seems genuine, he said. She is. And the ledger, real. She has it. Cole nodded. Then this is bigger than just us. We hold this house, we break the Tong's power in San Francisco. And Rourke, Cole's hand touched his revolver. I break him. Min studied his face. You are ready to die here. I have been ready for 5 years. Cole, she started, but he cut her off. When this starts, you stay with your aunt. You protect the ledger. That matters more than anything. You matter, he smiled. Sad, resigned. Not really. Not anymore. But you do, the ledger does. Justice does. He turned to leave. Min grabbed his arm. If we survive this, she said, what happens then? Cole looked at her hand on his sleeve, then at her face. I do not know. I have not thought past today. Think past it now. He was quiet for a long moment. If we survive, I will rebuild this place, make it a home again instead of a tomb. Alone. I do not know. Maybe not. If someone wanted to stay. It was not a proposal, not a promise, just a possibility, the thinnest thread of a future. Min nodded. Then we survive. Then we survive, Cole agreed. They heard it at the same moment. A marshal calling from downstairs. Riders, North Ridge, multiple contacts. Cole was moving before the sentence finished. Min followed. They reached the main floor as Harrington looked through a gap in the boards. 8 riders, heavily armed. Rourke, Cole asked, and has to be. Then another call. West side, 5 more. Aunt May's breath hissed. Liang! They had come together. Both enemies, converging. Harrington looked at Cole. How do you want to play this? Cole's jaw set. We let them think we are alone. No return fire until they commit. Once they are in the valley, we hit them hard. Together. The marshals took positions. Cole went to the north window, Min to the east with her rifle. Aunt May stayed low in the center of the room, the ledger clutched to her chest. The sun touched the western mountains. Long shadows stretched across the valley like fingers. Then the riders began their descent. From the north, Rourke's gang. Min could see them now, hard men on hard horses. The leader, a man with a dark beard and cold eyes, had to be Rourke himself. From the west, Liang's enforcers, and there, riding in the center, a thin man on a black horse. Even at distance, Min could see his left hand gripping the reins, the old burn scar visible, even from here, pale against his skin. Uncle Liang. Her finger found the trigger. Hate surged hot and bright. Not yet, Cole called. Let them get close. The 2 groups converged at the base of the valley. Words were exchanged. Then they split. Rourke's men circling to the north and east. Liang's to the west and south, surrounding the house. Cole's voice cut through the tension. On my mark. Target the leaders first. 3, 2, 1, mark. The house erupted in gunfire. Min sighted on Liang and pulled the trigger. The rifle kicked hard against her shoulder. She worked the lever, fired again. Liang's horse reared. He tumbled from the saddle, scrambling for cover behind a low rise. Around the house, the marshals fired in controlled bursts. Return fire shattered windows, punched through boards. One of Rourke's men went down clutching his chest. Another fell from his horse, trampled, as the animal bolted. But they kept coming. Reload, Cole shouted. Min's hands shook as she fumbled cartridges into the rifle. She could hear Aunt May praying in Cantonese, could hear the marshals calling targets to each other, and she could hear Cole, calm, precise, calling shots like he was at target practice. The battle raged for minutes that felt like hours, then Rourke's voice amplified by the valley. McKenna, I know you are in there. Cole did not answer, just fired twice more. I am going to burn you out again, McKenna, just like before, and this time I will make sure you watch." Beside Min, a marshal grunted and fell back, blood blooming on his shoulder. Another marshal pulled him to safety. They were taking casualties. Cole appeared beside Min. "They are going to try to fire the house. I need to stop them before they get close enough." "How?" "I go out. Draw them off. That is suicide." "Maybe." Min grabbed his arm. "Cole, no." He looked at her. Really looked. For the first time she saw fear in his eyes, not of death, of failing again. "I have to," he said simply. Then he was gone, down the stairs. She heard the back door open. "No!" Min ran after him. She reached the doorway in time to see Cole sprinting toward the barn, revolver in each hand. 3 of Rourke's men saw him, turned, fired. Cole shot one, then another, dove behind a water trough as bullets tore chunks from the wood. He was pinned. Rourke stood up from cover, a torch in his hand, grinning. Min raised her rifle. And then Aunt May was beside her, screaming in Cantonese. Liang had circled. He was at the south side, climbing through a window. Min turned, but too late. Liang was inside. He saw her, smiled. His scarred left hand raised the revolver. "Niece," he said in their shared language, "you should have died with your father." He raised a revolver. Min pulled her trigger first. The rifle roared. Liang jerked backward, blood spraying from his shoulder, but he did not fall. He fired. The bullet took Min high in the chest, spinning her around. She hit the floor, the rifle clattering away. Pain, white-hot, overwhelming. Aunt May screamed, threw herself at Liang, clawing at his eyes. He backhanded her. She crumpled. Liang advanced on Min, raising the gun for a final shot. Then Cole was there. He must have run back when he heard the shot. He came through the door like fury incarnate, both revolvers blazing. Liang turned, fired, missed. Cole did not miss. 3 shots. Chest, throat, face. Liang fell and did not move again. Cole dropped beside Min. "Stay with me. Stay with me." She tried to speak, tasted copper. Outside, a voice cut through the chaos. Rourke's voice, wild with fury. "McKenna, I am coming for you." Cole's head snapped up. Through the doorway, he could see Rourke charging toward the house, a torch in one hand, revolver in the other. The same man, the same face from 5 years of nightmares. Min grabbed Cole's sleeve weakly. "Go," she whispered. "Finish it." Aunt May appeared, dropping to her knees beside Min. "I have her. Go." Cole looked at Min's pale face, at the blood, at everything he was terrified of losing again. Then he stood, reloaded, and walked out to meet his ghost. Rourke saw him emerge from the house. The outlaw stopped 20 feet away, grinning through his dark beard. "There you are. I was hoping you would come out. Makes it easier." Cole said nothing, just raised both revolvers. Rourke laughed. "You should have heard them scream, McKenna. Your little girl called for you. Called and called. You never came." Cole's hands did not shake. "I'm here now." They fired simultaneously. Rourke's shot went wide, punching through the doorframe behind Cole. Cole's did not. The first bullet took Rourke in the chest, the second in the throat, the third between the eyes. Rourke fell backward, the torch tumbling from his hand, extinguishing in the grass. Cole stood over him. Watched the light leave those cold eyes. "Now you know," Cole said quietly. Then he turned and ran back inside to Min. She was still conscious, Aunt May pressing cloth to the wound. "Did you?" Min asked, her voice barely audible. "Yes." She smiled weakly. "Good." Then darkness pulled her under. A marshal appeared, tossing him a field kit. Cole tore it open, wadding cloth against the wound. Min's vision grayed at the edges. She heard Aunt May sobbing, heard gunfire fading, heard Cole's voice, desperate. "You do not get to die. You hear me? You do not get to die." She tried to smile. Could not. Darkness pulled at her. The last thing she heard was a massive volley of gunfire, then nothing. She woke to silence. Not the silence of death, the silence after battle. She was lying on something soft, a bed. The ceiling above her was white, painted wood. She turned her head. Pain lanced through her chest. She gasped. "Do not move." Cole's voice, close. He appeared in her vision, alive, whole, exhausted. "What happened?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Harrington's men drove them off. Rourke is dead. 3 of his gang captured. The rest fled. Liang? Dead. I made sure. Min closed her eyes, felt tears leak from the corners. Aunt May, bruised, shaken, but alive. She is downstairs. The ledger, safe. Harrington has it. He said it is everything he needs. Min tried to sit up. Cole gently pushed her back down. You were shot. The bullet went through, but you lost a lot of blood. The marshal, who was a field medic, patched you up, but you need rest. How long? 2 days. You have been unconscious for 2 days. 2 days. Min looked at Cole. Really looked. He had dark circles under his eyes, stubble on his jaw. His shirt was stained with blood. Her blood. You stayed, she said. Of course I stayed. You could have left. Your revenge is done. Rourke is dead. Cole's hand found hers, squeezed gently. Revenge is not done until you survive. That was the promise. Min felt fresh tears. I am not your redemption. I know, but maybe you are my second chance. He stood slowly as if his body hurt. Rest now. We can talk more when you are stronger. He turned to leave. Cole, Min called softly. He stopped. When I am stronger. When I can walk. Will you show me the house? The whole house. Cole looked back at her. Something shifted in his expression. Hope, fragile and new. Yes, he said. I will show you everything. 3 months later, Min stood on the porch of Silver Creek Ranch and watched the sunrise paint the valley gold. Her chest still ached when she breathed too deep. The scar would never fully fade. But she was alive. Behind her, the house no longer sat silent. Aunt May hummed in the kitchen, making breakfast. The marshals had left 2 weeks ago, their work done. Rourke's surviving gang members were in federal custody. Liang's enforcers had scattered. And in San Francisco, using the ledger Aunt May had protected Judge Harrington, had brought charges against Richard Caldwell and 17 others. The Tongs' grip on Chinatown was breaking. Min heard footsteps. Cole emerged from the barn, carrying a bucket of fresh milk. He saw her and smiled. A real smile, still rare, still precious. You are up early, he said. Could not sleep. He set the bucket down and joined her on the porch. They stood side by side, watching the light spread. I have been thinking, Cole said, about rebuilding the West Wing, making it livable again. Why? Because Aunt May will need her own space if she stays, and she seems to want to stay. Min glanced at him. Is that all right? Her staying? Yes. He paused. Is it all right if you stay? Min had been expecting the question, had been preparing her answer. I do not know, she said honestly. This place holds so much pain. For both of us. It does. But it also holds the first place I felt safe in a very long time. Cole turned to look at her. Then stay. Help me make it a home instead of a tomb. It was not a proposal. Not exactly, just an invitation. To build something new from the ashes of what was lost. Min looked at the valley, at the green grass and the silver ribbon of river, at the mountains standing guard on the horizon. I will stay, she said. For now, we will see what grows. Cole nodded. For now is enough. They stood together as the sun climbed higher, two ghosts learning to be human again. Inside, Aunt May called that breakfast was ready. Cole offered his arm. Min took it. Together, they walked back into the house. Behind them, the valley stretched empty and beautiful, waiting for whatever came next. The end.